Hi, welcome to the latest news, where you can keep up to date with what is happening around the world. Are you ready? Let's get started.
Mexican news. Feminicide of 13-year-old girl shocks Mexico. Lourdes Mañón disappeared on January 30 in Zumpango state of Mexico. Her body was found in a vacant lot with signs of violence. The last time Lourdes Mañón's mother saw her 13-year-old daughter, the girl was wearing jeans and a pink t-shirt with animals and white tennis shoes. Missing since January 30, Lulu's body, as her family called her, was found in a vacant lot with signs of physical and sexual violence a week later. The young woman lived with her family. Another new. Donovan Carrillo makes history and qualifies for figure skating finals. The Mexican skater achieved a score of 79.69, making him one of the top 24 in the world. Mission accomplished and history written. Donovan Carrillo, 22, has made it to the final in his first Olympic Games. The feat was accomplished. He was the only Latin American in the event despite the fact that his country has no ice rinks for high-performance athletes. Carrillo made his own miracle to be among the best 24 skiers in the world after reaching the final. The long program of the discipline, something that no Mexican had ever achieved. He finished in 19th place. General news. The crisis in Ukraine in 5 key points. President Vladimir Putin broke his silence after a month without pronouncing himself on the issue. After an intense diplomatic effort between Moscow and Kiev, tension seems to be cooled, but a conflict is still possible. When President Vladimir Putin spoke out on Ukraine on Tuesday for the first time in more than a month, the message that Ukraine was open to a diplomatic resolution of the crisis appeared to cool temperatures, at least for the moment. But it also demonstrated the huge gulf between Moscow demands and what Western countries are willing to discuss. A strange alliance emerged in Germany, left-wing and right-wing movements unite against vaccines. The proposal to impose compulsory vaccination prompts a series of demonstrations that attract sectors as diverse as naturalists, neo-Nazis, and ordinary citizens. Lieberman describes herself as a left-wing environment, a sweet spot for a far-right alternative for Germany party. The two disagree on issues ranging from immigration to climate change, but on a recent Monday, they marched side by side shouting freedom to demonstrate against the possibly mandatory COVID-19 vaccine. New German Chancellor Olaf Scholz plans to make the vaccine mandatory, have spurred a nationwide protest movement and mobilized tens of thousands of people in weekly marches in cities and towns, even as COVID-19 cases reach new highs with the spread of the Omicron variant. In another news, China's Olympics, Xi Jinping is organizing the Games by his own rules. From Beijing's unexpected beat to the coronavirus pandemic, China has managed to deliver on its promises and browbeat its critics. 7 years ago, when the International Olympics Committee met the host of 2022 Winter Olympics, China's leader Xi Jinping sent a brief video message that helped tip the balance in a close and controversial vote. China had little experience with winter sports, little snowfalls in the remote hills where the outdoor events would be held. China prevailed over the International Olympic Committee in negotiations over health protocols to combat COVID-19 and implement stricter safety measures than those applied in Tokyo last year during the Summer Olympics. The Chinese government has insisted on maintaining its zero-COVID strategy, developed since the first confinement in Wuhan 2 years ago, regardless of the cost to its economy.
Now let's talk about Asia. The opening of the Beijing 2022 Olympic Winter Games. The Chinese capital becomes the first city in history to host both these games and the Summer Games 2008. The opening show of these games was divided into 15 segments, including the parade of national delegations and the lighting of the Olympic flame, and was directed by renowned Chinese filmmaker Zhang Yimou, who also led the opening and closing ceremonies of the Beijing 2008 Games. Bhutan, one of the most mysterious countries, reopens an ancestral Buddhist pilgrimage trail. A Bhutanese trail is reopening to travelers for the first time in 60 years. It is an ancestral hiking route once frequented by Buddhist pilgrims and can be traveled on foot or by mountain bike. I think this is awesome for the country. And then Thich Nhat Hanh, Vietnamese Buddhist monk and peace activist, dies at age of 95. Thich Nhat Hanh, a prominent Vietnamese Buddhist monk, peace activist, and leading voice of opposition to the Vietnam War, has died at Tu Hieu Temple in Hue, Vietnam, at the age of 95. Plum Village, the monastic organization he founded, announced Friday on its website. Thich Nhat Hanh traveled to the United States in 1961 to teach comparative religion at Princeton University, and later that decade lectured at Cornell and Columbia, where he continued to spread his message of peace and press Western leaders to end the Vietnam War, Plum Village said. Moving on to the last topic of the day, let's get informed about French culture. French culture is characterized by its history and diversity. Its influence has forged many cultural and political expressions in Europe and throughout the world. The values embodied by the motto of the French Republic, Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité, that is, liberty, equality, and fraternity, and by the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, are a legacy that the whole of humanity has inherited from French culture and civilization. France has made outstanding contributions to humanity in the fields of science, literature, art, and other fields of knowledge. France still inherits today the reputation of being a founding country in terms of protocol and good manners. It has valuable traditions among the gastronomy in which its cheeses and wines stand out, as well as haute couture and some other traditions related to luxury. Historically, France has been a strongly influential country in the development of relatively new countries, such as the United States, Canada, and more recently some African states. One of the main customs is family meals, which is respected despite the fast pace of its cities. Another French custom is not to eat between meals or drink beverages that spoil the taste for food. If a family invites you to eat, punctuality is basic and it's recommended that the personal arrangement be formal. At home, it is customary to repeat several times the dish you like the most without neglecting the other dishes of the day. Among the most important customs of the inhabitants of the country, it is the attendance to theatrical, musical, and cinematographic spectacles. People in France have only one common habit, that is surprising by their security, by their variety by their facility to mix with the new without losing what they have preserved for years. For the same reason, to get to know the French, it's necessary to go to the regions farther away from the big cities. Their older simple customs are preserved, especially in terms of food and entertainment, which produces a pleasant contrast with urban life. Religious life is more active in these areas, where countries and countless religions festivals are celebrated every year. Traditionally, France has been one of the driving forces of racial and cultural tolerance, the backbone of many international associations in favor of human rights. This appreciation of diversity is reflected in its territory. It is home to African, Jewish, and Eastern European minorities, who make up a population of almost 4 million.
Another news that is happening in Europe is that Croatia scraps Eurocoin design over plagiarism controversy. Croatian National Bank announced a new tender of the country's one Eurocoin design after a plagiarism scandal led to the withdrawal of an earlier submission. Croatia is preparing to adopt the euro currency in 2023, and last week unveiled the winners of a contest whose designs were set to be struck into the Balkan country's new coin. The controversy centered around a logo featuring a marten standing on a branch that was strangely similar to a picture taken by British photographer Ian H. Leach, drawing accusations of plagiarism. The image was intended as an ode to Croatia's current currency, the kuna, which derives its name from a weasel-like carnivore whose fur was used as a currency in the Middle Ages. After the uproar, the contest winner withdrew his draft design on Monday, citing an unpleasant atmosphere created in media and on social networks. Hours later, Croatian National Bank said it would issue a fresh call of new designs in coming days. Lech hailed the designer's decisions to withdraw his submission. "I'm not intending to sue anyone. A right decision was made, and for me, this is the end of the story," he told a Croatian broadcaster. The other winning design included coins featuring the map of Croatia, the renowned inventor Nikola Tesla, and the Lakocylic script, the oldest known Slavic alphabet. Out of the 27 EU member states, 19 are now using the euro as their currency. A Eurobarometer survey in 2021 showed that 61% of Croatians support that they switch to euro, despite fears that the adoption of the currency may lead to inflation. Now, on global news, we have Canada truckers arrested as police warn of volatile protesters. Ottawa police have said volatile, undetermined demonstrators remain in Canada's capital after nearly 2 weeks of a truck-led anti-vaccine mandate protest. Ottawa is under a state of emergency as police try to contain the protest. Up to a quarter, also called Freedom Convoy vehicles, have children in them who could be at risk during operations, authorities said on Tuesday. Nearly 80 criminals investigations have been opened relating to the protest. Out of thousands of demonstrators, some 2,000 arrests have been made. While the protest has been mostly peaceful, police expressed concern about extremist rhetoric coming from far-right groups at the rally, as well as reports racial and homophobic abuse. Protesters danced on the tomb of the unknown soldier at the National War Memorial. How might Canada's truckers' protest might end? Officers have issued tickets and warned people away, but have been met by protesters determined to stay, and even a fake bomb threat which authorities said was intended to deceive and distract police. One officer was reportedly attacked while attempting to seize fuel from a protest truck. Speaking to press on Tuesday, Deputy Police Chief Steve Bell said, "Our message to the demonstrators remains the same. Don't come. If you do, there will be consequences." Incidents under police investigations include alleged hate crimes and property damage. Mr. Bell also disclosed on Tuesday that police had found about 100 trucks with children in them and contacted Children's Aid Society over its concern with noise, fumes, and hygiene. Some 704 miles away from Ottawa, Canada's border crossing was partially reopened on Tuesday after protesting truckers ground traffic to a standstill. Truckers rolling in solidarity with those in Ottawa had blocked the Ambassador Bridge on Monday night, forcing vehicles to take long detours. The bridge over the Detroit River is a vital trade link between Canada and the U.S., with more than 40% of people worth of goods cross it daily. 60 business groups from the U.S. and Canada have called for an end to the blockade. According to police in Michigan and Whistler, protesters had forced authorities to close the span shortly before 9 p.m. local time on Monday, just hours after Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has accused the demonstrators of attempting to blockade our economy.